Joe Biden, man, this guy over his career has told a lot of whoppers.
Decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation.
Joe Biden did not decide to pass the torch to a new generation. If Joe Biden decided to pass the torch to a new generation, Joe Biden would have done that before the primary. What Joe Biden decided was to put his own career above his party, to put his own career above his country, to put his own political ambitions above everything else, and run for president again. This is not new. Joe Biden has been gaffing since the 2020 election. In 2020, there were questions about Joe Biden's mental capacity to continue. There were questions about Joe Biden being a fit leader. Could this guy actually be president? Could he win? And if he does, is he even capable? Do we really trust this guy with the nuclear codes? No, the answer is no to all of those. But Joe Biden won. In 2024, he decided once again to put his own personal political ambition and financial windfalls above the country and run. And he won the primary. And he was all set to go until the debate. That early debate that did him in when he had a bad night, when he stumbled and bumbled and didn't know what he was doing, when Donald Trump was reserved and resigned and respectful, and Donald Trump let him speak. Donald Trump let Joe Biden debate himself out of a job. Donald Trump let Joe Biden destroy himself. In fact, look, I have a photo. This is Donald Trump yesterday. On Trump Force One. While Joe Biden was giving his speech, he's watching Joe Biden on the big screen. He's standing there. Effectively, what Donald Trump did was he beat Joe Biden without an election. He destroyed Joe Biden's presidency, took him out of the race without an election. And Donald Trump did all of that by letting Joe Biden debate himself right out of a job. If Joe Biden was a better debater, you would have heard more from Donald Trump. But Donald Trump had the wherewithal and the insight and the intellect and the strategery to hear in the first few seconds of that debate how far gone Joe Biden was and still is. He listened to Joe Biden in that debate. He was like, whoa, the more this guy talks, the better it is for me. And so he let Joe Biden talk himself off a cliff, talk himself into an early grave, talk himself right out of the Oval Office. And that's exactly what he did. But Joe Biden's lying. He's telling you it was his decision. It was not. It was not his decision. And we know that because we had prominent Democrat leaders coming forward and saying, it's time for you to go, Joe. Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama telling people in private, Joe's got to go. You had Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries not coming out and saying it, but in the background, everybody knew, listen, if it all comes down to it, we're going to rally around whoever we can so that Joe Biden gets the message. And then we'll take away his money. And $90 million was frozen from Joe Biden's super PACs, from donors like the Disney woman and everyone else who said, I'm not giving another penny to Joe Biden. George Clooney, who I didn't even know could write, wrote an op-ed that they published in the New York Times, Washington Post. That was one of those. It wrote an op-ed. They published it where he said, look, just a few weeks ago, I was with Joe Biden bilking his voters for millions of dollars. Just a few weeks ago, I was at a fundraiser with Joe Biden where I scammed rich, hardworking Democrats out of their money. And now, just a few weeks later, I'm telling you, Joe Biden, this guy is gone. This guy is a vegetable. This guy cannot be trusted. He should not be the president. Look, I lied to you, but now I'm coming clean because I'm scared for our country. Joe got to go. We're going to keep the $25 million. Thank you very much. But Joe we're just going to pass that money on to Kamala without any kind of specific legal reason way to do so, or without any oversight. But that's a story for another day. So you've got all these people rallying around Joe he didn't decide anything. He had no choice because the next thing that was going to happen was not the bankrupting his campaign, not the strong suggestions that he was past his prime, but it was going to become the public humiliation. The Democrats were poised and ready to publicly humiliate their president. The Democrats were poised and ready to get every embarrassing story, every embarrassing anecdote, every embarrassing recording, every embarrassing text message. They would even make stuff up probably because that's what they do. And they were going to just flood the press. They were going to flood the internet. They were going to flood TikTok and Instagram and everywhere else with the most embarrassing tidbits of information about Joe Biden and his exploits. Inappropriate things he said and did to women. Inappropriate things he may have said and done to minors. Things he said about ice cream. People's names that he messed up. Times that he almost brought us to the brink of war because of his mental cuckooedness. That was going to be the next phase of Operation Joe Gotta Go. The Democrats eating their own.